On Christmas, my daughter-in-law screamed at me in front of the whole family. She yelled, "Where have you been, you useless old woman? My family has been here for an hour, starving, and you are not even capable of setting the table." They laughed. They had no idea what was waiting for them that night. My name is Emily, and I am 68 years old. And on that Christmas night of 2023, while 40 people were laughing in my own living room, watching my daughter-in-law humiliate me, I did not shed a single tear. Do you know why? Because I had been waiting 6 months for that exact moment. Let me explain something about silence. It does not always mean weakness. Sometimes silence is the sound of a woman planning her master stroke. But before I tell you how I turned the tables that night, I need you to understand how I ended up standing in the entrance of my own kitchen. I was wearing my apron embroidered with wild flowers. I was watching my son Ryan look away, while his wife Ashley destroyed me in front of everyone. The air smelled of fruit punch and cinnamon. There were Christmas lights hanging from every corner of the house. The dining room table, that mahogany table I bought with my own hands 30 years ago, was set for 40 guests. Wine-colored tablecloths, china I inherited from my mother, napkins folded in the shape of flowers. Everything was perfect. Everything was calculated. Ashley was standing next to the Christmas tree wearing that tight red dress that marked every curve, her straight black hair falling like curtains over her shoulders. Gold heels. French perfume that cost more than a school teacher's monthly salary. The pearl earrings that Ryan gave her, with my money, of course. She looked at me with those satisfied cat eyes and spat out the words as if they were knives. "Where did you hide yourself, you useless old woman? My family has been here for an hour, hungry, and you are not even good for setting the table." If this story is stirring something inside, you subscribe to the channel so you can keep hearing stories like this one about women who refuse to be trampled on. The silence lasted barely 3 seconds. Then came the laughter. My niece Carly was the first. That fake, uncomfortable laugh of someone who wants to look good with the person in power. Then Ashley's sister Brenda. Then Ryan's cousins, one by one like dominoes falling. 40 people in my house laughing at me. Ryan, my son, my only son, the boy I raised alone after his father died. That 42-year-old man who once defended me from everything was sitting in the main armchair with a glass of whiskey in his hand. He did not even look me in the eyes. Patty, my daughter, the youngest, was leaning against the back wall. I saw how she exchanged a complicit smile with Ashley. My own blood. Do you know what hurt me the most? It was not the words. It was not the laughter. It was seeing the face of my granddaughter, Lucy, barely 20 years old, sitting on the stairs with tears held back in her eyes. She knew. She had been the only one to warn me 6 months ago. "Grandma, that woman does not love you. She is studying you." But I, foolish me, thought I could change things with love, with patience, with hot food and open doors. How wrong I was. Ashley took 2 steps toward me. Her heels sounded like hammer blows against the hardwood floor. "What, aren't you going to say anything, ma'am? Or are you not even good for defending yourself anymore?" Everyone expected me to do the usual thing, lower my head, apologize, run to the kitchen to serve dinner, be the good lady, the noble grandma, the invisible woman who exists only to give. But that night, something in my chest settled differently. I raised my gaze. I looked her straight in the eyes, and for the first time in 6 months of enduring her snubs, her orders, her insults at 6 in the morning, demanding coffee, for the first time I smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was not a tender grandmother's smile. It was the smile of a woman who knows exactly what is going to happen in the next 2 hours. "You are right, Ashley," I said with a calmness that surprised even me. "I haven't been useful for a long time." She liked the comment. I saw how her mouth curved in victory. But that night, I continued walking slowly toward the center of the living room. "We are going to change that." I pulled a remote control out of my apron, a small black one that no one noticed. Tonight, everyone is going to see what I'm actually good for. I pressed the button. The big screen of the television turned on, and there, in high definition, a video began to play that none of them expected. Ashley's face changed color, from gold to white to green in a matter of seconds, because what everyone was watching was her. It was 3 days ago, in that same living room, talking to her sister on the phone. "Relax, Brenda. In 6 months maximum, the old hag dies or we put her in a nursing home. This house is worth about $800,000. When it is ours, we sell it and move to Florida. Ryan already signed the papers. The idiot does not read anything I put in front of him." The silence that fell in that room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. And I, standing in the middle of everyone with my flowered apron and my wrinkled 68-year-old hands, was thinking only one thing. "Okay, darling. Now we are going to see who is the useless one. What do you think happened next? I am warning you. What is coming is much stronger than you imagine." The screen was still on, but nobody moved. It was as if I had thrown a bucket of ice water right in their faces. I need you to understand something. I was not born in a nice house in the suburbs. I did not inherit anything. I did not marry a rich man. Everything you see here, every brick, every piece of furniture, every single dollar in the bank, I built it. With these hands that now tremble from arthritis, but that once sewed until they bled. I arrived in the city in 1980. I had just turned 25. A cardboard suitcase and $30 in my pocket. I came from a small rural town in Kentucky, a place where jobs were scarce and dreams starved to death before turning 15. My mother hugged me at the bus station and told me something I never forgot. "Emily, in this life, no one is going to give you anything for free, but do not let them take what is yours either." I did not understand her words back then. I was young, naive. I believed that hard work and kindness were enough. How wrong I was. I got a job at a garment factory in the industrial district. 12 hours a day from Monday to Saturday, $200 a week. I slept in a small room shared with 4 other women. The bathroom was down the hall. In winter, the water came out so cold it cut your skin. But I saved. Every dollar I did not spend on the bus, I kept. Every meal I did not buy at the corner store, I made myself. Every blouse I did not buy, I sewed with scraps from the factory. In 1985, a neighbor told me they were selling a small lot on the outskirts of the city. $5,000. It was a fortune to me. But I gathered everything I had. I borrowed what was missing and I bought it. People made fun of me. "What do you want a lot of land for if you don't even have a house?" I did not answer them. I just worked more. 2 years later, that land was worth triple. I sold it. I bought 2 smaller ones in a developing neighborhood. I sold them in 1992. I bought a bigger one in a better district. Do you see the pattern? I was not smart because I had studied at fancy colleges. I was smart because I knew something many forget. Silence allows you to observe, and observing allows you to learn. I met Henry in 1987, a good, hard-working man, a carpenter, by trade. We got married at the courthouse with 2 witnesses and a lunch at a diner on the corner. No big parties, no expensive white dresses. Henry never knew about the money I was saving, not because I did not trust him, but because something in my chest told me, "This is yours, Emily, your life raft." We had Ryan in 1991, Patty in 1995. We lived in a small but dignified apartment. Henry made beautiful furniture. I kept sewing at night after the children were asleep, and I kept buying properties, one here, another there, always with deeds in my name, always in silence. When Henry died in 2015 of a sudden heart attack, my world split in 2. He was my partner for 28 years, the father of my children, the man who held me at night when I cried from exhaustion. At his funeral, Ryan hugged me and said, "Mom, don't worry, I am going to take care of you always." What irony. What nobody knew, not even my children, was that by then I already had 7 properties in my name, valued, all together, at more than $2 million. I lived in this big house in the suburbs that I bought in 1998. The other 6 I rented out. The money came in quietly month after month into an account that only I managed. Why didn't I tell my children anything? Because my mother was right. In this life, people change when they smell money, and I wanted to know who loved me Emily, the woman from Kentucky, who made biscuits by hand every Sunday. I did not want to know who would love Emily, the owner of $2 million. For years, my children believed that I lived off their father's pension and some small savings. I helped them when they needed it. For Ryan's college, for Patty's car, for the down payment on my granddaughter Lucy's apartment. But I never gave them everything. I never opened the door completely. And thank God I didn't. Because in 2018, when Ryan arrived at my house with Ashley on his arm, I saw something in that woman's eyes that I recognized immediately. Hunger. Not hunger for food, hunger for possession, for control, for money that did not belong to her. Ashley came into my life like mold comes into the walls, slowly, silently rotting everything from the inside. And I, who had spent 40 years building my empire in silence, made the biggest mistake of my life. I opened the door for her, because what I did not know then was that Ashley was not coming looking for a family. She was coming looking for a loot. The first time I saw Ashley was a Sunday in March. Ryan brought her to lunch without warning. I was in the kitchen making a pot roast since 7 in the morning. The smell of meat, potatoes, and spices filled the whole house. I was wearing my usual apron, my hair tied back in a braid, my hands stained with flour. I heard the door open and Ryan's voice. "Mom, I want to introduce you to someone." I came out wiping my hands on my apron, and there she was. Ashley was about 5'9", thin, but that kind of thinness from an expensive gym and a private nutritionist. Tanned skin without a mark, shiny black hair that reached her waist. She was wearing white jeans that looked painted on her legs, a peach-colored silk blouse and high-heeled sandals that cost easily $300. But it was not her clothes that caught my attention. It was her eyes, green like jade. Beautiful, yes, but cold, calculating. The type of eyes that measure, weigh, value. She looked me up and down in less than 2 seconds. I saw how her gaze stopped on my old apron, on my cheap plastic slippers, on my wrinkled hands, and I saw how she smiled. It was not a genuine smile. It was the smile of someone who has just confirmed something they already suspected. "Nice to meet you, ma'am," she said with a soft voice, almost childish. "Ryan has spoken so much about you." She extended her hand to me, perfectly manicured, French tips, silver rings on 3 fingers. "The pleasure is mine, honey," I replied, shaking her hand. Cold. Her hand was cold like marble. Ryan was radiant. His eyes shone in a way I had not seen since he was a teenager. He was in love, madly in love. Mom Ashley is an accountant. She works at an international firm. She travels a lot. She is incredible. Ashley lowered her gaze with false modesty. "Oh, babe, don't exaggerate. I just do my job." They sat in the living room. I served coffee and sweet bread that I had made the day before. Ashley rejected everything with a delicate smile. "I am on a diet, ma'am, but it looks delicious." During the meal, I observed. Ashley talked a lot but said little. She told anecdotes about trips to Vegas, to Cabo, to Miami. She mentioned expensive restaurants, 5-star hotels, brands that I did not even know. But every 5 minutes she threw out questions. "And is this house only yours, ma'am? Have you lived here long? Is the furniture antique? It looks valuable. And Ryan told me that you worked as a seamstress. What a sacrifice, right? But surely you saved well for your retirement." Questions wrapped in velvet, but questions nonetheless. Ryan did not realize. He was too busy looking at her as if she were an angel sent from heaven. I answered with vague statements. I smiled. I nodded, but inside, my survival instinct, the one that kept me alive for 40 years in this city, was screaming. After lunch, Ashley asked to use the bathroom. She took 15 minutes. When she returned, she had been on the second floor. I know because I saw that she had a piece of lint on her shoulder, from the carpet in the upstairs hallway, the one I had not vacuumed in 2 days. She was exploring, measuring, calculating. 3 months later, Ryan announced the engagement. They were going to get married in December. Patty, my daughter, hugged her happily. Finally, you are going to have a daughter-in-law. It was about time Ryan settled down. I smiled. I congratulated Ashley. I gave her a hug that she received with the rigidity of someone hugging a mannequin. But that night, alone in my bedroom, I sat in front of the vanity that had belonged to my mother. I looked at myself in the mirror, the wrinkles around my eyes, the gray hairs that I no longer bothered to dye, the hands that told stories of decades of work, and I asked myself if I was becoming paranoid, if I was inventing problems where there were none, if the problem was me, a bitter old woman who did not want to see her son happy. But then I remembered something. When Ashley used my bathroom, I had left my wallet on the dining room table. When she returned, the wallet was slightly moved, barely a few inches. I checked afterward. No money was missing, but she had checked how much I had inside. And in that moment, I knew that my instinct had not failed me. Ashley had not come to fall in love with my son. She had come to take inventory. The wedding was in December of 2018 in an elegant garden in the city. 150 guests, live orchestra, 3-course meal, open bar, all paid for by Ashley's parents, supposedly. I say supposedly because 2 weeks before the wedding, Ryan arrived at my house with a face I had never seen on him, nervous, sweating, moving his hands nonstop. "Mom, I need to ask you a favor." I sat across from him at the kitchen table. I served him a calming tea. "Tell me, son, what is wrong?" Ashley's parents had a problem with the bank. They cannot cover everything for the wedding. I need $15,000. My blood froze. $15,000, Ryan, that is. "I know, Mom, I know. But we already have everything contracted. The deposits are paid. If we don't pay, we lose everything." And Ashley, his voice broke, Ashley has been dreaming of this wedding since she was a little girl. I looked him in the eyes. My son. The boy I raised alone while his father worked 12 hours a day. The teenager who helped me with grocery shopping. The young man who hugged me when Henry died and promised to take care of me always. Where was that man? "Ryan, $15,000 is a lot of money. I live off your dad's pension and—" "Please, Mom. I will pay you back. I will sign a promissory note, whatever you want. But help me." He had tears in his eyes, and I foolish me gave in. I gave him the money from my savings, from that cushion I had built dollar by dollar. He did not sign any note. "It is not necessary, Mom. We are family." The wedding was spectacular. Ashley looked like a princess in a dress that must have cost another $10,000. Her family arrived in brand new cars. They toasted with French champagne. And I, sitting at my table in a simple beige dress that I had bought at a discount store, watched my son dance with his wife without turning to look at me even once all night. After the wedding, things changed. Before, Ryan visited me every Sunday. We ate together. We talked about everything. He told me about his job as an engineer at a construction company, about his projects, about his dreams. After Ashley, the visits became spaced out, first every 2 weeks, then once a month, then only on birthdays and Christmas. And when he came, he did not come alone anymore. Ashley accompanied him always, and she always had something to criticize. "Oh, ma'am, do you still have those armchairs? They are already very old, aren't they? How dark this house is. It needs remodeling. Have you not thought about selling and moving to a smaller place? This house is too big for a single person." Comments wrapped in fake concern, but comments that stung like wasps. Ryan never contradicted her. He laughed uncomfortably and changed the subject. One day in May of 2019, they arrived together with a proposal. "Mom, we have been thinking," said Ryan. "This house is very big for you, and you are alone. How would you feel if we moved in with you? That way we take care of you. And you help us with the rent we are paying." Ashley smiled sweetly. My first instinct was to say no, absolutely. But I saw Ryan's hopeful face. I saw my son, not the woman manipulating him. "Let me think about it," I said. That night I did not sleep. I got up at 3 a.m, made a pot of coffee, and sat on the patio to look at the stars. I thought about loneliness, about the nights where the silence of this house weighed on me like a slab of stone, about how it would be nice to have my son close again. But I also thought about Ashley's gaze when she observed my things, about her constant questions, about how she had measured every corner of my house as if it were already hers. I should have listened to my instinct, but I chose hope, and that decision almost cost me everything. They moved in June of 2019. The first days were tolerable. Ryan and Ashley settled into the 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor. I kept mine on the ground floor. "So you don't have to climb stairs, ma'am," said Ashley with that sweet little voice that I was already starting to recognize as disguised poison. The first week, Ashley still pretended. She asked if she could use the kitchen, if she could move some furniture, if I minded if she played music. The second week, she stopped asking. People started arriving at the house. Ashley's friends, her sister Brenda, her cousin Danielle. They settled in my living room as if it were theirs. They left dirty glasses. They turned up the volume on the television. They smoked on the patio, even though I asked them 1,000 times not to do it. "Oh, ma'am, it's just a little cigarette." Don't exaggerate. Ryan worked all day. He left at 7 a.m. He returned at 8 p.m. Tired, dark circles under his eyes. Different. Ashley did not work. Supposedly, she was between projects, but I never saw her look for a job. What I did see her do was redecorate my house without permission. One day, I arrived from the market, and my living room curtains, the ones I had embroidered myself with Christmas flowers, were in the trash can. "They were very old, ma'am," Ashley said, pointing to some gray curtains she had bought. "These are modern. They give the house more style." My hands trembled. Those curtains, I had made them when Henry was still alive. I spent 3 months embroidering them. "Ashley, please, those curtains were important to me." "Oh, ma'am, don't get sentimental. They are just curtains. Besides, I already threw them out. The garbage truck passed a while ago." That night, I cried in my room. I cried for those curtains. I cried because my house no longer felt like mine, but that was only the beginning. In July, Ashley started giving me orders. "Ma'am, can you make breakfast? We are going to wake up late." "Ma'am, can you wash the clothes? It's just that we have a lot piled up." "Ma'am, I have friends coming to eat. Prepare something special." And I, to keep the peace, obeyed. I cooked, I cleaned, I washed, I ironed. I had become the maid in my own house. Ryan said nothing. When I tried to talk to him, he was too tired, or Ashley interrupted with some invented urgency. In August, things got worse. Ashley started waking me up at 6 a.m, knocking on my bedroom door. "Ma'am, I need coffee." "Get up already." She took away the key to one of the rooms on the 2nd floor. "We are going to use it as a walk-in closet. You don't need it." That room was where I kept Henry's things, his tools, his clothes, the photos of our marriage. "Ashley, please, that room is special for—" It was ma'am. It was special. "Your husband died years ago. You have to get over it." I felt as if she had slapped me. In September, I discovered that Ashley was going through my things. I found drawers in my desk open, papers moved, my checkbook out of place. I confronted her. "Have you been going through my papers?" "Of course not, ma'am." "What are you saying? You must be confused. At your age, it is normal." At your age. As if I were a senile old woman imagining things. But I was not confused. And that same day, I made a decision. I called my granddaughter Lucy, the only person in the family I still trusted. Lucy, I need you to help me, but no one can know. Not your mom, not your uncle. No one. What is wrong, Grandma? I need you to teach me how to use security cameras, the tiny ones they sell on the internet. Lucy arrived 2 days later. We went to an electronics store downtown. We bought 6 small cameras the size of buttons and a recording system that connected to a tablet. Are you sure about this, Grandma? More sure than ever, honey. We installed them in the living room, the kitchen, the dining room, and the second-floor hallway. Hidden on shelves behind books and the plants Ashley and Ryan never noticed. And then I started recording. Everything. Every comment. Every insult. Every conversation Ashley had on the phone when she thought I was not there. For 6 months, I kept evidence. 6 months of humiliations that I documented one by one, because something told me I was going to need them, and I was right. October arrived with cold rains and the smell of wet earth that always reminded me of Kentucky. But that month brought no nostalgia. It brought the most painful truth I have faced in my life. One Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. It was Mr. Julian Miller, my attorney for 30 years, a 72-year-old man, the kind who still wears a suit and tie every day and who never drinks coffee without offering you some first. Emily, I need to see you. It is urgent. The tone of his voice froze my skin. We met the next day at his office downtown, an old office with books up to the ceiling and the smell of old paper. Mr. Miller closed the door and offered me a seat. Emily, I received a request yesterday for the transfer of 2 of your properties, the one in the North District and the one in the West End. My breath cut short. What? Someone presented documents to transfer those properties with your signature and your official seal. Mr. Miller, I have not signed anything. I know, that is why I called you. He passed me a folder. Review this. I opened the folder with trembling hands. There were official documents, powers of attorney transfer requests, and at the end documents that supposedly I had signed authorizing the transfer of 2 properties valued at more than $600,000 to the names of Ryan Spencer and Ashley Spencer. The signature looked like mine. It was not perfect, but it looked like it. Forgery, said Mr. Miller. And it is not their first attempt. 2 months ago, someone came asking about all your properties. A young woman, long hair, very dressed up. Ashley. She did not tell me her name, but she asked how many properties you had, where they were, how much they were worth. I told her that information was confidential. She got upset. She said she was a relative of yours and that she had the right to know. I felt dizzy. I had to hold on to the desk. Mr. Miller poured me water. Emily, this is fraud. It is a criminal offense. I can block these transfers immediately and file a complaint. But I need you to tell me who has access to your seals, to your documents. I did not need to think about it. My daughter-in-law. She lives in my house. Does your son know about this? That was the question that broke me, because the documents bore his name. He was going to receive the properties. My son, my blood, the person I carried in my womb, the child I nursed, the teenager I defended against everything. He was trying to rob me. I don't know, I whispered. I don't know. Mr. Miller put his wrinkled hand over mine. Emily, I am going to freeze all your assets legally. No transfer can be made without your physical presence and an official ID verified by me personally. Do you agree? Yes. And you need to get that woman out of your house. Today. Now. I can't. Ryan is a grown man, and if he is involved in this, then he already made his decision. I left that office in shock. I walked through the downtown streets aimlessly. I passed in front of City Hall, in front of the cathedral, in front of street vendors shouting offers. Everything looked blurry. How had it come to this? How could my son, try to rob me? I arrived at my house at 7 in the evening. Ashley and Ryan were having dinner in the living room watching television. Dirty plates on my coffee table. Laughter. Tranquility. as if they had not just tried to destroy my life. "Ma'am, good thing you're here," said Ashley without turning to see me. "You forgot to buy bread." We had to order a pizza. Ryan did not look at me either. I went up to my room. I locked the door. And for the first time in my life, I felt real fear being in my own house. That night, I reviewed the camera recordings. I found what I was looking for. 3 weeks ago, a Saturday that I had gone to the market, Ashley had entered my room. The cameras captured her opening my desk, taking documents, photographing them with her cell phone. And there was more. 2 days later, Ashley on the phone with her sister Brenda. "I already have all the papers, sister. The notary is a stubborn old man, but we will find another one. In 6 months maximum, we have the properties. The old woman won't even notice until it is late." And then the worst part, Ryan entering the room while Ashley organized the stolen documents. "Are you sure this is going to work?" asked my son. "Trust me, love. Your mom is old. She is not going to check anything, and when she does, it will be too late. These properties are worth a fortune. We can sell, invest, go live wherever we want. And if she gets angry, she is my mom. Your mom will understand. And if not, well, that is life, isn't it? Eventually, everything is going to be yours anyway. We are just speeding things up." Ryan nodded. My son nodded. I cried until I ran out of tears, because that night I lost something more valuable than any property. I lost my son. And it was then that I decided that if they were going to destroy me, I was going to make sure they regretted it every day for the rest of their lives. November turned my life into a different kind of hell, one where I was not only a prisoner in my house, but also in my own family. Because Ashley is cunning, very cunning. She was not satisfied with manipulating Ryan. She needed the whole family to be on her side, and she achieved it. The first Sunday of November, Patty, my daughter, arrived for breakfast. I had not seen her for months. She entered with Ashley as if they were lifelong friends, laughing, sharing gossip. She hugged me without enthusiasm. "Hi, Mom, how are you?" "Fine, honey. Good to see you. I made breakfast pancakes, bacon, fresh coffee." The table smelled of maple syrup and coffee like when Patty was a girl and we had breakfast together on Sundays after church. But that morning, Patty barely tasted a bite. "Mom, Ashley told me that you have been very difficult lately." I left the fork on the plate. "Difficult?" "Yes. She says you get angry about everything, that you don't let them live in peace anymore, that you are very..." She made an uncomfortable pause. "Very controlling." I looked at Ashley. She lowered her eyes with a sad smile perfectly rehearsed. "I haven't said that, Patty. I just commented that the lady is going through a complicated stage. It is normal at her age. My grandmother also got very difficult before..." She left the sentence hanging, but the message was clear. "Before we put her in a nursing home." "Mom," Patty continued, "I think you should consider, I don't know, maybe selling this house. It is very big for you, and with the money you could go to a more comfortable place. Smaller, more appropriate." More appropriate for what for your age? There it was again, my age as an excuse for everything. "This is my house, Patty. I bought it with my work. I am not going to sell it." "Oh, Mom, always so stubborn." Patty stood up. "Well, I am just suggesting it. Think about it. Ryan and Ashley could handle the sale. They would avoid the stress for you." "Sure. How convenient." After that day, family visits multiplied, but not to see me, to judge me. My niece Carly arrived with her husband. They sat in my living room. They spoke in low voices. They looked at me sideways. "She looks so lost, poor thing." "Did you see how she is dressed all disheveled?" Ashley told us that sometimes she forgets things. The other day, she left the stove on. Lies, all lies. But Ashley planted them carefully. One here, another there, until the whole family started seeing me as a senile old woman who needed the control of her life taken away. In family gatherings, they excluded me from conversations. They talked about me in the third person as if I were not present. And what are we going to do with her? Well, someone has to make decisions. She cannot keep living alone. Technically, she does not live alone. Ryan is there. But he works a lot. It is Ashley who really takes care of her. Ashley the saint, Ashley the sacrificed one, Ashley who had left her career to take care of her sick mother-in-law, sick with what? With dignity. One afternoon, Patty arrived with papers. Mom Ashley and I thought it would be good if you gave power of attorney to Ryan in case something happens so he can manage your things. My things. Your accounts, Mom, your payments. We don't want you to forget to pay something and have the electricity cut off. Or the water. The manipulation was so blatant that it almost made me want to laugh. I am not going to sign that, Patty. Mom, don't be stubborn. It is for your own good. I said no. Patty sighed with exasperation, as if I were a tantrum-throwing child. Fine, but when you need help, don't say we didn't offer it. She left, slamming the door. The loneliness I felt that night was absolute. It was not just being physically alone. It was knowing that my own family had abandoned me, that they saw me as a burden, as a bank account with legs. I sat on the patio under the magnolia tree that Henry planted 20 years ago. The leaves fell on the floor like tears, and for the first time in my life, I considered giving up, giving them what they wanted, signing the papers, going to a small apartment, disappearing from their lives so they could divide my assets in peace. It would be easier, less painful. But then my phone rang. It was Lucy. "Grandma, are you okay? You haven't answered my messages for days." Her voice. The voice of the only person who still saw me as Amelia, not as an obstacle. "Yes, honey, I am fine." "I do not believe you. Your voice sounds strange. Can I come over to see you?" "No, honey, it is late." "Then I will see you tomorrow, without fail." She hung up before I could protest. The next day, Lucy arrived at 10 in the morning with a bag full of bagels, muffins, and croissants from the bakery around the corner. "We are going to have breakfast together, Grandma, just like before." I made hot chocolate. We sat in the kitchen, and for the first time in months, I felt human again. "Grandma, you have to get out of this situation," Lucy said after I told her everything. "You cannot let them walk all over you." "I am already very tired, honey." "That is exactly why. Because if you give up now, they will have won. And you are not the kind of woman who gives up. You are the woman who came from the countryside with nothing and built an empire. Or have you forgotten?" She was right. That afternoon I went up to the attic, a place I had not been to in years. I searched through old boxes until I found what I needed, a rusty tin box where I kept memories of my youth. Inside there were photos. Me at 25 just arrived in the city. Thin, scared, but with fire in my eyes. Letters I wrote to myself when I was alone and broken, and a garnet necklace that had belonged to my mother. I held them in my hands. It weighed little, but it represented so much. My mother wore it her whole life. It was the only thing of value she had, and before dying she gave it to me with a message. "When you feel lost, remember where you come from." I put on the necklace, the cold stones against my skin, and I remembered. I remembered who I was before being a mother, before being a grandmother, before being the old woman everyone wanted to rob. I was Amelia, the woman who survived. And that woman was not going to let herself be destroyed without a fight. December arrived with a clarity I had not felt in months. I was no longer scared. I was no longer sad. I was ready. On December 10th, Vanessa announced that she wanted to host a big Christmas dinner to unite the family, ma'am. You know, after so much tension. Ryan supported the idea immediately. "Yes, Mom, it would be nice to have everyone here." Just like before, as if nothing had happened. "What do you think if we invite the whole family?" Vanessa suggested. "Patty, the uncles, the cousins, about 40 people. We can make a spectacular dinner." She looked at me expecting resistance, expecting me to say no, that it was too much work, that I did not want to. But I smiled. It sounds perfect to me. Vanessa blinked, surprised. Really? Yes. It has been years since we had a big gathering. It will be beautiful. And I meant it, because I had plans too. The following days I worked like I had not done in years, but not just cooking. I called Mr. Julian, my attorney. I asked him to come to the dinner. As a guest, I told him. He understood. I called his partner, Mr. Morales, a serious man of 50 years, specialized in family law. I invited him too. I contacted my accountant, Mr. Armand. I asked him to prepare a complete summary of all my properties with their updated market values. And I asked Lucy to help me with something very specific, to edit 6 months of recordings into a single video, the strongest moments, the clearest insults, the most revealing conversations. We worked in secret, at her apartment, while Vanessa and Ryan believed I was out buying Christmas gifts. December 24th dawned cold but clear. The sky was that intense blue that you only see in winter. I started cooking at 6 in the morning. Turkey stuffed with apples and walnuts, roast pork leg in adobo sauce, mashed potatoes with gravy, baked cod, apple salad, fruit punch serving on the big stove. The kitchen smelled like glory, like spices, like cinnamon, like love made into food. Vanessa came down at 11. Is everything ready, ma'am? Almost. We still need to set the table. And why have you not set it? People arrive at 8. I took a deep breath. I will set it now. I took out the burgundy tablecloths, the fine china, the crystal goblets I had inherited from my grandmother. Everything shone. I decorated the dining room with natural pine branches and golden ornaments. I lit candles that smelled like vanilla. I put place cards with names at every seat. Mr. Julian and Mr. Morales would have places of honor near me. At 7 in the evening, people started to arrive. Patty with her family, Carly with her husband, the cousins, the uncles, Vanessa and Ryan's friends. Everyone brought gifts. Everyone smiled. Everyone congratulated Vanessa for organizing this beautiful gathering. Nobody congratulated me for cooking for 3 days, but it did not matter because I knew what was coming. At 8 o'clock sharp, when everyone was settled with cups of punch in their hands, Vanessa stood in the middle of the living room. Well, family, before we have dinner, we want to thank you for being here. This year has been complicated, but we are happy to have this opportunity to be together. Applause, smiles. I was at the entrance of the kitchen with my floral apron observing. And we want to especially thank Mother Amelia, Vanessa continued with a sugary voice, for opening her house to us, for receiving us, for, she made a dramatic pause, for trying to help in whatever way she can. Uncomfortable giggles. Although we have to be honest, Vanessa continued, lately she has been a little absent-minded, lost. The other day she forgot to close the refrigerator door. And yesterday she left the water running. More laughter, now less uncomfortable, more cruel. That is why Ryan and I think that maybe it is time that someone else makes the important decisions, for her own good. Patty nodded. Carly too, everyone looking at me with pity. Vanessa walked toward me. So, ma'am, where is the dinner? We are all hungry. Or did you forget to cook too? And then she said it with that poisonous smile. Where did you go, you useless old woman? My family has been here for an hour hungry, and you are not even good for setting the table. Silence. Then the laughter. Nervous at first, louder afterwards. Ryan looked at the floor. Patty was laughing, covering her mouth. And I smiled, because the moment had arrived. I walked slowly toward the center of the living room. My steps sounded loud against the hardwood floor. Everyone watched me, expecting me to lower my head, to apologize, to run, to serve dinner, like the nice little old lady I was supposed to be. But I took a small remote control out of my apron. You are right about something, Vanessa, I said with a clear voice, clearer than I had spoken in months. I have spent a long time being good for nothing." Vanessa smiled victoriously. "But tonight," I continued, "that is going to change. Tonight everyone is going to discover exactly what I am good for." I pressed the button on the remote. The big television screen turned on. The one Ryan had installed last year to watch movies as a family. The image appeared in high definition. It was the interior of my house. The living room. The date in the corner. December 21st, 3 days ago. Vanessa was sitting on the couch talking on the phone. Her voice came out clear from the speakers. "Relax, Brenda. In 6 months maximum, the old woman dies or we put her in a nursing home. This house is worth like $500,000. The other properties she has, I have no idea what they are worth. But the old notary did not want to tell us. But it does not matter. When it is ours, we sell everything and move to Hawaii." Ryan already signed the papers I prepared. The idiot does not read anything I put in front of him. The silence that fell in that room could have been heard in the entire neighborhood. Vanessa turned white, then red, then purple. "What is this?" she whispered. "This," I said calmly, "is the truth." I changed to the next video. Vanessa in my bedroom opening drawers, photographing documents. The date 2 months ago, then another. Vanessa talking to her sister Brenda. "I almost have everything. Her deeds, her accounts." The old woman keeps everything in that old desk. She is so stupid she thinks nobody is watching her. Gasps filled the room. Patty had her hand over her mouth. Carly had dropped her glass. The punch was spilling on the floor. "This is not. I did not," Vanessa stammered. "Not what? Not you." I played the next video. "Because your face looks very clear here." This one was from November 15th. Vanessa and Ryan in the living room, talking. "Are you sure this is going to work?" my son asked. "Trust me, baby. Your mom is old. She is not going to check anything. And when she does, it will already be too late. These properties are worth a fortune. And if she gets mad, so what can she do? She is a lonely old woman. Without an education, without important friends, nobody is going to believe her if she says anything." The frozen video showed my son's face, nodding. Ryan had stood up, trembling. "Mom, me, you what?" "Ryan." My voice did not tremble. "Are you going to tell me that this is not what it looks like?" He did not answer, because he could not deny what everyone had just seen and heard with their own eyes and ears. I played the next video, and the next, and the next. 6 months of evidence. Vanessa insulting me when she thought nobody was there. Calling me a ridiculous old woman, a nuisance dead weight. Vanessa planning with Ryan how to convince me to sign a power of attorney. Vanessa telling Patty that I was losing my mind and that they needed to take control before I did something stupid with their money. Patty screamed, "I did not know she was recording everything. She told me you were doing badly." And you believed her without asking me. I confronted her. "I am your mother, Patty, your mother, and you chose to believe a stranger." Patty started to cry, but her tears no longer mattered to me. I signaled to Mr. Julian. He stood up, gray suit perfectly pressed, leather briefcase in hand. "Good evening, everyone. My name is Julian Mendoza. I am a licensed attorney and notary public for the city. And I have been Mrs. Amelia's legal representative for 30 years. All eyes turned toward him. "I am here tonight as a witness to the events you are witnessing, and also to inform you of some things you may not know about Mrs. Amelia." He opened his briefcase. He took out documents. "Mrs. Amelia Ramirez is the owner of 7 properties in the city." He began to read addresses and values. One in the suburbs valued at $450,000. One downtown valued at $200,000. One in the business district, $150,000. 2 condos in the fashionable district valued at $130,000 each. and 2 commercial spaces in the historic center valued at $100,000 each. He paused. The silence was absolute. In total, Mrs. Amelia's real estate assets amount to over $1 million. Gasps, murmurs. Patty had collapsed onto the couch. Furthermore, Mr. Julian continued reading documents. 3 weeks ago, a request for a fraudulent transfer of 2 of these properties was presented at my office, with forged documents, with Mrs. Amelia's signature forged, in the name of Mr. Ryan Sepulveda and Mrs. Vanessa Aguilar. Vanessa tried to run toward the door, but Mr. Morales was blocking her. "Not so fast, ma'am. Real estate fraud is a felony. And I have here a preventative arrest warrant signed by a judge." Vanessa screamed. "This is a trap. She set a trap for us." "A trap?" I shouted for the first time. "A trap is protecting myself from robbery. A trap is recording what you said in my own house." I walked up to her. We looked face to face. "You came to this house looking for money. Not love, not family, money that I built with 40 years of work. And you convinced my son to betray me, to rob me, to try to take everything from me." "You do not need that house," Vanessa exploded. "You are a lonely old woman. Why do you want so much?" "Because it is mine." My voice was ice. "Because I earned it. Because you are nobody to decide what I deserve to have or not." I turned around toward the whole family, 40 people in complete shock. "You too, everyone. You thought that because I am old, because I am kind, because I cook and clean, I am stupid. You thought you could walk all over me, use me, rob me." I looked at Patty. "You, Patty, my own daughter, you betrayed me for crumbs that Vanessa promised you." Patty sobbed. "Mom, I did not know that." "Yes, you knew. You just chose not to see. Because it was convenient for you." I looked at Carly, at the cousins, at everyone. "And you laughed when she humiliated me, when she called me useless in front of everyone. You laughed." Nobody dared to look me in the eyes. I took an envelope out of my apron. I opened it. Inside were documents. "This," I said, holding up the paper, "is my new will signed before a notary 2 days ago." Mr. Julian nodded, confirming it. "Ryan Sepulveda and Vanessa Aguilar disinherited completely. $0. Ryan let out a sob. "Patricia Sepulveda. Disinherited $0. Patty screamed. "Mom, no." "Yes, because family does not betray, family does not steal. And you stopped being my family the day you decided my life was worth less than my money." I held up another document. "My properties will be divided like this. 50% for my granddaughter, Lucy Morales, the only one who never saw me as a wallet with legs." Lucy, sitting on the stairs, had tears in her eyes. 25% for the Warrior Women Foundation, which helps female entrepreneurs from rural areas get capital for their businesses. 15% for Jane and Mercedes. I pointed to 2 older ladies who were in the kitchen, my employees of 20 years, for their loyalty and genuine affection, and the remaining 10% for the St. Vincent Senior Shelter, so that no other woman my age is abused by her family. The silence was tomb-like. I took out another envelope. This one I gave directly to Vanessa. "Your Christmas present." Vanessa opened it with trembling hands. Inside were 2 documents. The first is an eviction notice. You have 48 hours to get out of my house with all your things. The second is a criminal complaint for attempted fraud, forgery of documents, and extortion. Attorney Morales filed it this morning. The hearing is on January 8th. Vanessa collapsed on the floor. Ryan approached me. His eyes were red. "Mom, please." "I am sorry. I let myself be manipulated, but I am still your son." I looked at him. This man of 42 years, who was once my baby, my boy, my pride, and I felt nothing. "Ryan, you stopped being my son the day you signed those papers to rob me, the day you looked the other way while your wife humiliated me." the day you chose money over your own mother. But nothing. Family is more than blood. It is respect, it is loyalty, it is true love. And you gave me none of that. I walked away from him. Mr. Julian and Attorney Morales escorted Vanessa toward the door. "Remember," the lawyer said, 48 hours. If you have not vacated, we will return with the police." The family started to leave, one by one, in silence. Ashamed, Patty approached before leaving. "Mom, you are never going to forgive me." "I do not know, Patty. Maybe someday, but not today. Today, I just want you to leave." She left crying. When everyone had gone, only Lucy Mister, Julian, Jane, Mercedes, and I remained in that living room full of food that nobody had tasted. Lucy hugged me tight. "Grandma, I am so proud of you." For the first time in months, I allowed myself to cry, but not from sadness, from relief. The next 2 days were like being in the eye of a hurricane, a heavy silence while the final storm accumulated. Ryan and Vanessa did not leave the second floor all of December 25th. I heard their arguments like screams, her blaming him blaming her, the sound of love rotting in real time. On the morning of the 26th, Ryan came down alone. He had deep, dark circles under his eyes. He had not slept. "Mom, can we talk?" I was in the kitchen making coffee. The aroma of clay pot coffee filled the space, that smell that always made me feel at home. "Speak." He sat at the table. He fiddled with his hands. I know I messed up. I have no excuse. I let myself be carried away by Vanessa, by the promises, by the idea of having easy money. I kept stirring the coffee without looking at him. "But Mom, I am your son. Your only son. Are you really going to throw me out of your life like this?" I turned off the stove. I sat in front of him. "Ryan, do you know how much time I spent building all this? How many nights I fell asleep with my hands bleeding from sewing so much? How many times I ate only tortillas and salt to save $5? He did not answer. 40 years of sacrifice. To build something, to leave you something, and you wanted to take it without deserving it, without earning it. Worse yet, robbing me while I was still alive. It was a mistake. No, Ryan, a mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. Forging documents to rob your mother is not a mistake. It is a decision you made consciously. Tears began to roll down his cheeks. "So then, I don't have a mom anymore." My chest tightened, because despite everything, a part of me, that maternal part that never fully dies, wanted to hug him, to tell him everything would be fine, to forgive him. But another part, the part that survived 40 years in a cruel city, the part that built an estate from nothing, that part knew there were unforgivable things. "Ryan, I am not going to close the door on you forever, but I am not going to open it until you prove, with actions, not with words, that you have recovered your dignity, that you recovered your manhood, that you returned to being the man I raised, not the puppet Vanessa turned into her accomplice. And how do I do that? Start by assuming responsibility, by facing the consequences of your acts, by building your own life without expecting me to give you everything." He wiped his tears with the back of his hand. "And if I do it, if I change, will you forgive me?" "Maybe. Time will tell. But forgiveness does not erase consequences, Ryan. The will stays as it is. The properties are distributed as I decided. That is not going to change." He nodded slowly. He stood up and walked toward the door. "Mom, one last thing." "What?" "I am sorry. I really am sorry." I did not answer, because words are cheap and I was no longer buying. On December 27th at 4 p.m, the moving truck arrived. A large van, 3 men carrying boxes. Vanessa supervised everything with a face of contained fury. She did not say a word to me. She did not look at me even once. Ryan carried boxes in silence. He looked 10 years older. At 7 in the evening, the truck left, with all their things, with their dreams of robbing me. Ryan remained standing in the doorway. He looked at me one last time. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Ryan. The door closed, and for the first time in 8 months, my house felt mine again. That night, Lucy stayed with me. We ordered pizza. We sat in the living room to watch old movies. She curled up against me like when she was a little girl. Grandma, are you sure about this? About disinheriting them? Completely sure. And if one day you regret it, honey, I have already regretted many things in life. Of marrying so young, of not studying a career, of not traveling more, but of this, of recovering my dignity. Of that, I will never regret. Lucy smiled. You are the strongest woman I know. I am not strong, honey. I am just tired of being weak. The following days were strange, good but strange. The house was silent. There were no more screams. There were no demands. There were no insults at 6 in the morning. I woke up at whatever time I wanted. I made my breakfast without rushing. I sat on the patio to read a book I had bought years ago and never had time to open. Jane and Mercedes came 3 times a week, not to clean my house, but to drink coffee with me. They had become true friends, Mr. Julian visited me to finalize legal details. He explained to me that the criminal process against Vanessa would follow its course, that she would probably face 2 to 6 years in prison for fraud. And Ryan, I asked, he did not sign the false documents. Technically, he is not criminally responsible, but the judge could call him as an accomplice if Vanessa denounces him, which she will probably do to reduce her sentence. Let him face what he has to face, I said. Patty tried to call me 7 times in 1 week. I did not answer any calls. Finally, she appeared at my door on January 5th. Mom, please talk to me. Let me explain. I looked at her through the gate. My daughter, my baby, the girl I raised with as much love as Ryan. There is nothing to explain, Patty. You chose your side. Now live with that decision. But I am your daughter. And I am your mother. The mother you raised alone after your father died. The mother who worked 2 shifts to pay for your college. And when you needed me, I was there. But when I needed you, where were you? She did not know what to answer. Go away, Patty. When you are ready for a real apology, not just empty words, then we talk, but not today. She left crying, and although it hurt, I did not open the door. On January 10th, I received a call from my accountant. Mrs. Amelia, the deposits from the rents of your properties arrived this month. $4,000 in total. Thank you, Mr. Armand. Do you want me to transfer them to you like always? No. This month, I want you to donate $1,000 to the Warrior Women Foundation and another $500 to the St. Vincent Shelter. The rest can stay in the account. Perfect. Anything else? Yes, I want you to look for a condo downtown. 2 bedrooms. Well lit. With a balcony, if possible. There was a pause. Are you going to move, ma'am? Yes, Mr. Armand, it is time to start over. On January 15th, I signed the sale of the house in the suburbs. $600,000. A young couple with 2 children bought it. They loved the bougainvillea tree on the patio. I told them its story, how Hector planted it, how it grew every year. We are going to take care of it, the lady promised, as if it were ours. That is the only thing I ask. On February 1st, I moved into a beautiful apartment in the city center. 10th floor, huge windows, balcony with a view of the trees on the main avenue. Lucy helped me with everything. We bought new furniture, modern but comfortable. I painted the walls light colors. I filled the balcony with plants. It was my space, only mine, without ghosts, without painful memories. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, I received a message from Ryan. Mom, I know you do not want to see me. I understand. I just wanted to tell you that Vanessa and I got divorced. You were right about everything. I lost my way. But I am going to find it again. I promise you. I love you. I did not answer, but I saved the message. On March 8th, International Women's Day, I was invited to give a talk at the Warrior Women Foundation. 40 women from the South, from the rural areas, all entrepreneurs, all fighters. I told them my story, not the edited one, the complete one. I told them about the betrayal, the abuse, how I was about to give up, and I told them how I got up. At the end, a woman of about 50 years approached crying. "Thank you, ma'am. I was about to sign my whole house over to my son. But after listening to her, I am not going to do it anymore." I hugged her tight. Never give away your dignity for fear of loneliness. It is better to be alone than in bad company. On March 21st, the first day of spring, I enrolled in painting classes, something I always wanted to do but never had time. It turned out I had talent. My teacher said I painted with soul. I painted the bougainvillea tree from my old house. I painted the mountains of my hometown. I painted a young woman with a suitcase arriving in a big city with fear in her eyes, but fire in her heart. It was me, at 25, before everything. Time does not cure everything, but it does teach you that surviving is not just breathing. It is choosing to live with dignity. December of 2024 arrived with that particular smell of the city in winter, a mixture of roasted chestnuts, hot cider, and the crisp air that announces the holidays. Today is December 24th. Exactly 1 year has passed since that Christmas dinner that changed everything. I am in my apartment downtown on the balcony with a cup of hot chocolate in my hands and a wool blanket over my shoulders. The afternoon sun paints the sky orange and pink. I am not alone. Lucy is in the kitchen preparing punch. Jane and Mercedes arrived an hour ago with homemade tamales and sweet bread from the market. Mr. Julian will come later with his wife. And I also invited 3 women I met at the Warrior Women Foundation. Women who, like me, rebuilt their lives after their own families tried to destroy them. This is my family now, not the one of blood, the one I chose. In these 12 months, many things happened. Vanessa faced trial. She was declared guilty of fraud and attempted theft. They sentenced her to 4 years in prison. She appealed but lost. Now she is serving time in the state penitentiary. Ryan was not prosecuted criminally, but the scandal ruined his reputation. He lost his job. He had to move to a small apartment on the outskirts. He sells insurance door to door. He wrote to me 32 times this year. Long letters. Apologizing, explaining, begging. I answered him 3 times. Short answers, without promises. In August, when I turned 69, he appeared at my door with a chocolate cake, my favorite. I let him in. We drank coffee. We talked like we had not done in years. I did not forgive him, but I left the door ajar. Patty also tried to get closer, slower, more cautious. In September, she came with her children, my grandchildren. I had not seen her in 9 months. "Mom, I do not come to ask for money, nor inheritance, nor anything. I just wanted to tell you that I am sorry, truly, and that even if you reject me, I am going to keep trying." We played with the kids all afternoon. We did not talk about what happened, but she washed the dishes without me asking her. And when she left, she gave me a long hug, small steps. That is all I can give for now. I invested the money from the sale of the house into the Fund for Women Entrepreneurs. So far, we have supported 83 women, 83 warriors who now have their own businesses. I also bought a small apartment back home, in the small town where I was born. I go every 2 months. I stay a week. I walk through the streets where I grew up. I visit the few childhood friends who still live there. I eat local food in the market. And I remember who I was before becoming a mother, a wife, a victim, a warrior. I was Amelia. Just Amelia. And that is sufficient. The painting classes became my therapy. I painted so much this year that my teacher suggested doing a small exhibition. Women Who Do Not Break, the show was called. 15 paintings, 15 stories of women who survived. My grandmother, my mother, me, Jane, Mercedes, the women from the foundation, They all sold. The money went to the Warrior Women Foundation. I also started writing a book. It is called The Old Woman Who Was Not Useless. I tell my complete story, without filters, without sugarcoating anything. It is already 200 pages. Lucy says I should publish it, that there are millions of women who need to read it. Maybe I will do it, maybe not. For now, writing is enough. In November, I started going out with someone. His name is Edward. He is 72 years old. He is a widower. He was an architect all his life. We met at a conference on cultural heritage at the Art Center. It is not a movie romance. There are no fireworks or dramatic declarations. It is comfortable. We have breakfast together on Sundays. We go to the movies. We talk about everything and nothing. When I told him my story, he did not judge me. He did not pity me. He only said, "How strong you are." And for the first time in my life, I believed someone when they told me that. Today on this balcony, watching the sunset over the city, I allow myself to take stock. Did I lose things? Yes, I lost the illusion of a perfect family. I lost the house where I raised my children. I lost the naivety of believing that family love is unconditional. Did I gain things also? I gained dignity. I gained peace. I gained the certainty that I can survive anything. And I gained something more important. I won myself back. Lucy comes out to the balcony with 2 cups of hot punch. "Grandma, almost everyone is here ready for dinner." "Ready." I stand up. I adjust the garnet necklace that was my mother's, the same one I put on that night a year ago. We enter the apartment. There is laughter, soft music playing, the smell of cinnamon and spices. And for the first time in a long time, I feel completely at home. Before sitting down to dinner, I raise my cup of punch. I want to make a toast. Everyone goes silent and raises their glasses. For the women who survive, for those who fall and get up, for those who learn to say no, for those who build their empires in silence and defend them with dignity, and for those who understand that respect is not begged for, it is commanded. Cheers. The glasses clink. Laughter fills the space. And I, Amelia Ramirez, 69 years old, born in a small rural town, who arrived in the big city with a suitcase and a dream, who built a fortune of $1 million, who was betrayed by her own blood and who refused to be destroyed. I smile, because I learned the most important lesson of my life. True wealth is not in what you possess. It is in what you do not allow them to take away from you. And nobody can take away your dignity if you do not hand it to them. End reflection. If you reach this point until the end of this story, it is because something resonated in your heart. Maybe you too have been betrayed by someone close. Maybe they have also made you feel invisible, useless, a nuisance. Or maybe you simply recognize the strength that is needed to get up after those you love most push you to the ground. I want you to know something. You are not alone. There are millions of Amelias in the world, women who built empires in silence, who endured abuse with their heads held high, who decided one day that enough was enough. And if you are one of them, I want to tell you, you are stronger than you believe. You are worth more than what they have told you. And it is never, never too late to recover your life. You do not have to have $1 million to be valuable. You do not have to have a great revenge plan to be powerful. You only have to make a decision. Choose yourself. Because self-love is not selfishness. It is survival. If this story touched your heart, if it made you reflect, if it reminded you of your own strength, leave me a comment telling me where you are watching from. Write your country, your city, and tell me, have you ever had to defend your dignity like Amelia did? Hit that like button if you believe that more women need to hear stories like this, and subscribe to the channel to keep sharing tales of women who refuse to be trampled on, because these stories are not just entertainment. They are reminders that strength has no age, and that it is never, never too late to write your own ending. See you in the next story. Take care of yourself, And remember, your dignity is not for sale.